So we were just looking into the need, right? So I think we have gone through the need, why we need the commandos. Even each and every country is having its special forces. So though we call it as commandos, they are actually called the special forces, right? So as far as our armed forces, so Indian armed forces are concerned, right? We have three different branches, and each of these three different branches are having their own special forces. So army is having their special forces as para security forces. Indian Air Force is having their special forces in the form of Garud. It is a direct entry, right? And Navy, Indian Navy is having it in the form of Marcos, that is Marine Commandos, right? That you can consider. So herein you can see as the three branches of Indian Armed Forces are having separately their special forces units. So para special forces by Indian Army, Marcos by Indian Navy, right? Fine. And yes, you may call it as para security forces, and Garud Commando Force by the Indian Air Force, right? So these are specifically organized or trained and equipped to conduct and support some of the special operations. So what can be these special operations, right? The special operations can be anything, right? So rescuing hostiles, right? The counter-insurgencies, some specialized operations, right? For example, Operation Cactus, Operation Pawan, Operation Blue Star, right? Then in floods, or particularly like cyclones, right? So these are some of the things which we can consider for that. So we do have different branches. Further, these three forces, or the special security forces, get further divided, especially armies or the paras troops get further divided into different things, right? Which we will be knowing them as NSGs, SPGs, Gata, Cobras, right? So these are some of other parts of the commandos. As far as Navy is concerned, you will be having only Marcos, and Air Force is concerned, you will be having only Garuda. Fine. So these are that particular thing. Now, if you consider the special forces as far as Navy is concerned, which we are going to consider as Marine Commandos, right? Which is shortly known as Marcos, right? So Marcos stands for Marine Commandos, and it is nothing but a special forces branch or the special forces group of Indian Navy, which you will be knowing through now with some their details. So whenever you will be you have to ready for this, right? And it's a 24/7 job, right? So once you finish your training for Marcos, right? So your training never ends. It is a continuous process, right? And as a part of training, it is not only having training with the dummies. Many a times, in fact, see, Marcos are in the world's 10 best commandos, right? I will tell you, and we will compare it with the Americans' steel commandos, right? So how the training of Marcos is comparable with the steel commandos, right, in USA. Fine. So in this particular case, they are always having their practices, right? Whether in the civils, right? Whether at the sea, right? And here you can see the troop got ready to deploy, right, by the training, right? Though the training is a continuous process, right? So we'll be seeing what exactly happening in the training and how it is being continued every day, right? So as far as India is concerned, you can consider them, or you can prefer this particular special security force as number one, right? And which is always in the top 10 in the world, right? We will be considering them. Fine. So that is the Marcos which we have. Herein you can see now, though I have added some of the things, right? So they are being used for different kinds of purposes, right? So you can see there, so single of them are going down, and right, so they will be always diving, right? So they are having their specialties, right, from parachute jumping to the scuba diving, right? So they are from air to water, right? So you can consider in that particular case. And here you can see what I was talking about, an individual, right? So you can see yesterday I said that as a natural fish you have to be, right? So eventually you will be becoming right, once you are Marcos, you will be always a kind of fish here, right? So that's the case which you will be always considering, right? So this is the particular case which you can consider it. So now again, a part of one of the let's say practice exercises, right, in the civil, right, on land. And now you have considered them in the water, in the air, right? And now here you can consider them on the land. So they are always called as right. So is the special unit so what exactly, right, establishment, right? Date of the year of establishment, obviously, and what stands for Marcos. Once a while, the question had been asked on what stands for Marcos, right? So, or in which tasks the Marcos are specialized, right? So the Marcos are capable of undertaking any kind of operation, whether it is on the land, at the sea, or in the air, right? They can do anything, but they are specialized in doing the operations in the maritime, right? Operations in the maritime. So you can consider these particular things, right? Now in this case, if you consider, right, the here you will be having specialized in the maritime operations, right? So they, though they are able to capable of undertaking anywhere in the all types of terrains, right? So that is the case which we are considering as far as the Marcos are concerned. So the force has undertaken numerous joint exercises with the special forces from around the world, not only the para forces or with the Garudas, but the special forces of different countries in the world, right? That you can consider, right? Now, here you can consider, right? So obviously, you must be knowing this one, right? Now, make an habit to see this particular way, right, or this particular flag for Indian Navy, and this is the emblem of uh, the Marcos, right, of Indian Navy Marine Commandos, right? You know, in particularly in the Kashmir, right, where the terror insurgencies or terror counter insurgencies, right? Good morning, Veerbhadra. Insurgencies. The Kashmiris or the Pakistanis are knowing Marcos as the Adiwala Fauj, right? A beard army, right? And they are also commonly known as, they are having a nickname called Magarmach, right? Crocodile. You know why they are, right? Their motto is the few, the fearless, right? Now, few, the fearless. As I yesterday I told that as far as paras are concerned, you will be finding out thousands of paras. How many more than 20,000 you may consider, right? Now, as far as Marcos are concerned, they are more than 2,000, right? Actual exact figure never comes out, right? But it is assumed that they are and definitely they must be more than 2,000. But the specialty of the Marcos is that even more than 70-80% Marcos, right? I may consider almost everyone, right? So even the families of Marcos are knowing that, let's say, her son or her husband is a Marcos, right? Even the family members. So they are always, so their identities are always kept special, right? That is the case you can consider it, and that's the reason I said most lethal, right? Among the all the commandos from India are the Marcos, which we can consider. So where is their headquarters? So their headquarters is at Visakhapatnam, right? At INS Karna, right? So that you can consider. The next one here you can consider is the currently Marcos, right? They are having their different, you may consider the bases or the units, active units where they are. Right? So Marcos have been operated by the different units, right, or the bases. Why they are not showing their identities? Yes, because once you get identified with it, it will be very easy, or you will be always observed for that particular thing, and trapping you, right, or dysfunctioning you becomes very easy, right? So that would be a different case. Fine. In those days, before having the lunch or dinner, right, in the days of Raja Maharajas, even in today's, for ministers, right, for high bureaucrats, their meals are being tested, right, whether they are poisoned or not. Fine. So this is one of the ways which we can, what I said, you can, if your identity is made known, so people will very easily come liking, dislikings, right? See, though their training is beyond, training has taken them beyond all these things, but still, if your identity is known, then it is very easy to trap you, right? So it will always ease someone else to trap you. Fine, that would be one very first thing. And second thing is that why it should be identified, right? Because it is a voluntary job. You have voluntarily gone there, right? And हे काही मिरवण्याची गोष्ट थोडीच आहे, right? Obviously, it is a very, very proud feeling, right? But the most proud feeling than that is nothing but to work for the country or for the national security. Fine. So, वैसे भी वो कर रहे हैं तो उसको दिखाना क्यों? That is the case. Fine. Anyway, so we will be seeing what are the different things at that time we will come across. Obviously, it is a part of training, right? So, anyway, so the Marcos, it currently operated from different bases: Mumbai, Visakhapatnam, Goa, Kochi, and Port Blair. Fine. So the naval base, as we have discussed, as INS Karna, which was commissioned as their permanent base at Visakhapatnam very recently in 2016. Fine. So in Marine Commandos, the males are selected from the Indian Navy, right? Only, always consider. So Navy personnel only are being selected, right? Those who are in early 20s of their age, right, and how to go through the very stringent selection process and training. We will be seeing it out very shortly, right? So those who are in early 20s and those who are part of Navy only, right, they will be allowed to be part of the Marcos. But when they go through the very stringent selection process, and not only selection process, the training, which is very difficult, right? So you will become come across the difficulty of the training, right? Which we will be considering as the qualities of Marcos. So here you can consider they have to always assist with, or their exercises are always assisted by American and British special forces, right? So the part of training which is called the regular exercises, right? So it lasts long for 2 years, right? Which we can consider after your recruitment or your voluntary recruitment. Any rank or any post you, if you have, right, you will be always, even if you are a sailor in Navy, or if you are let's say any of the commissioned officer, right, you will be. Only thing is that, yeah, even Sipoy, only thing is that it should be the age of 20s. And see, only not age, but also some see, again in this case, I think that point is coming soon. Here your aptitude, right? So your physical aptitude, both kinds of tests are being done, right? So not only having physical will make you unable to enter into Marcos. If you fail in aptitude, no, you are not, right? So that is the case which you can consider in. Fine. So these are some of the things I have just mentioned, right? You should not worry about these things, right? So these are the bare things, and at this moment we need not to discuss all these things, right? So what are these different kinds of training? So training includes airborne operations, right? We will be considering one point of this. Then combat diving courses, right? So in this particular case, one very important thing is close combat, right, where you cannot use the weapons or the instruments, right? So how would you be doing it? So you have to many times do it by bare hands, right? Fine. So that would be the case which you can consider. Then obviously it is again against the counter-terrorism, right? So your training is always being done in the which will be required for countering of the terrorism. Even in rescuing some of the hostiles, right, which is of hijack, a kind of hijack, right? So anti-hijacking training is also provided to you. Sometimes anti-piracy operations, right? So it is very difficult for the piracies, right? There are so many anti-piracy operations are being currently carried out in the Kashmir, right? I think when we will go for para security forces or special forces, right? So there you can consider all these operations. One more thing, there is one common thing. I will tell you that particular point here is the what we can consider. All these commandos, whether the Marcos or the what I can consider Garuda or Paras, right? So all these are having a same. All these are having a training which is from the institutes of Paras, right? That you can consider in, right? So here in this particular case, as I said, that we will be seeing when we will go for the Paras. Fine. It's a quite big topic. So I was talking about the Marcos selection. So if you are in early 20s, right, having of any kind of rank, right, so you will be always volunteered. Those who have volunteered across the Indian Navy will be gathered together, and the pre-training gets started, right, before selection. So that is called pre-training selection process, right? So it is made up of in two different parts which you can consider. So very first part is the Indian Navy personnel who wanted to join the Marcos will initially undergo for a 3 days physical fitness and aptitude test as well. So those who have volunteered, among these volunteered, around 80% of the applicants get screened out. That means they get out of the contest of, I will not say contest, they will come across the end of their dream of becoming the Marcos, right? And only 20%, around 20% get screened in, right? So those who have got screened out, they have to go back to their original units or the regiments or the groups from where they have come, right, or volunteered, and the remaining will be uh, further sent for screening. So further screening is being done, right? A further screening process, which is very difficult one, right? Even training is much more difficult than this health week screening, right? So second step of the screening process is health week, which is known as health week. Now see, from its name you will understand health week. So in that particular week you will be allowed that this very stringent kind of training, right? So this involves a very high degree of physical exercise, and not only exercise, if it could have been only the exercise and sufficient sleep, then you would be very easily sustaining, right? So that would be the case, but it is not, right? And sleep deprivation, the second case you can consider. Fine, just a minute. So this involves very high physical exercise and the sleep deprivation, right? So in this case, after this process, actual training begins. Sleep deprivation, okay. Now in this case, generally how many hours you get sleep? So usually, I guess you all must be sleeping for 8 to 9 hours, right? Some of you more than that, right? Fine. If I ask you to sleep only 3 hours, right, and attend every session, right, as much as actively you are attending it now or greater than that, right, at least this one, right? No, not 6 hours. What I'm asking, at the most 4 hours. Fine. So that is the case which you can consider. Now this would be the, it is not possible, but it is possible. Marcos are doing this. Not only Marcos, some other commandos are doing, but Marcos are mostly deprived of sleep, right? So you are not allowed to take your complete sleep, right? That is sleep deprivation, right? Deprived from sleep. Physical exercises, I will tell you what kind of physical exercises, right? Possibly, I thought to show you the videos of few seconds, but today it was not possible. My tool in my laptop is not working. Probably I may work it on today, and maybe in the next session we will come across it. Right? Still, I will be showing some of the parts of it. Right. And I think what was the next question?